So imagine this. What if a country decides its best defense isn't defense at all, but a massive, preemptive strike designed to completely reshape its entire neighborhood? Today, we're diving into a detailed and, frankly, pretty audacious roadmap that lays out just that for the Middle East, all based on an analysis of a potential new grand strategy.
And that's really the central, kind of unsettling question that the analysis we're looking at today poses. What actually happens when a nation's security strategy pivots from just deterring threats to actively eliminating them? This isn't just a tweak in tactics. It's a huge shift from a defensive posture to something way more proactive. And yeah, some would say aggressive.
And here it is, the core of it all. We're not just talking about some abstract theory here. We're looking at an analysis of a documented strategic plan with a very clear, very bold goal: to force regime change in Iran by the end of 2028.
But, a strategy this radical doesn't just pop up out of thin air. According to the source, it's a direct response to what were seen as the failures of the past. So to really get the new plan, we've got to first understand the old one.
For decades, Israeli security was pretty much defined by this rounds doctrine. Think of it like a series of limited skirmishes, rounds of fighting, that were designed to manage threats and just buy more time. The goal was never a knockout blow. It was more about keeping the enemy off balance and getting back to a temporary sense of quiet.
This slide really lays out the pivot in thinking, doesn't it? We see a move from containment all the way to elimination. Overwhelming kinetic strikes. That's just military speak for direct physical force, bombs and missiles. Replace those limited skirmishes. And maybe most importantly, the whole goal shifts from temporary deterrence to forcing permanent structural change on the adversary.
And listen, this wasn't just some internal military debate. The analysis points to really influential strategists who had been warning for years about a critical flaw in the old doctrine. They basically said it was a strategy of kicking the can down the road, and it was never going to solve the problem for good. But the real catalyst, according to the source, was this ticking clock on the nuclear threat. An Atlantic Council report that's cited in the analysis warned that Iran's breakout time, that's the time it would take to get enough weapons-grade material for one nuke, had shrunk to just a matter of weeks. All of a sudden, that old strategy of containment looked dangerously out of date. So this sense of urgency reportedly leads to what the analysis dramatically calls the 2025 crucible. We're talking about a hypothetical, all-out military confrontation designed to rewrite the rules of the game in one single, decisive operation. And just look at the projected timeline here. It's breathtakingly fast. In April, a key report frames the whole thing as the last best chance. By June, a massive military operation is already underway. And by November of that same year, a new U.S. national security strategy is declaring the primary mission a success. And a really crucial piece of this, according to the document cited, is absolute strategic alignment. The recommendation wasn't for some quiet cooperation in the background. Nope. It was for a public, unified front with, and I'm quoting here, no daylight between the American and Israeli positions on the need for military action.
And the sheer scale of what's being described here is just staggering. This is not a limited strike. The analysis points to an initial wave of roughly 200 warplanes hitting over 100 targets across Iran all at the same time.
The stated outcome of this military phase is just as stark. The analysis cites a hypothetical national security strategy document from a potential second Trump administration, and it uses a single powerful word to describe the result for Iran's nuclear program: obliterated.
But this plan isn't just about destroying infrastructure. The source details an operation designed to literally decapitate the Iranian military's command and control by neutralizing its highest-ranking leaders, all in one fell swoop.
Okay, but the military strike is presented as just the beginning. What's envisioned to follow is a radical political and, get this, demographic restructuring of the entire region.
The first part of this vision, as outlined in the source, focuses on Gaza. The proposal is as drastic as it is controversial: the complete evacuation of its 1.8 million residents, followed by a redevelopment project to transform the territory into a U.S.-administrated hub for tourism and trade, which they dubbed the Middle East's Riviera.
Then, the second piece of the puzzle is Syria. The whole strategy relies on the emergence of a new Western-aligned government there that would permanently sever the land bridge connecting Iran to its proxies in Lebanon. This would effectively break what's known as the resistance axis.
And all of it, leads to the final phase of the grand strategy, a multi-pronged plan that's designed to achieve the ultimate goal of regime change in Tehran by the end of 2028.
So here's the roadmap, and it's pretty methodical. First, you cut off the regime's financial lifelines that run through Turkey and Iraq. Second, you weaponize internal discontent by having U.S. Tiger teams expose corruption and directly link it to the public's economic pain. Third, you maintain the justification for any future action by highlighting Iran's progress on long-range missiles, all of it leading to that clear endgame of regime change.
And this chart really shows you the economic choke point. By targeting gas exports to just two countries, Turkey and Iraq, the strategy aims to cut off a staggering 87% of Iran's export revenue. That would effectively strangle the regime financially.
Now, this brings us to the internal pressure point. With official inflation already at a crazy 40 to 50%, the strategy is basically designed to pour gasoline on an existing fire. The plan is to directly connect the painful economic reality for the average person to the corruption of their own leaders.
So okay, we've just walked through this truly audacious, multi-year grand strategy, but it is absolutely crucial to understand that the analysis it's drawn from presents this as an immense gamble with two starkly different potential outcomes. I mean, look at the two possible futures here. On one side, you've got the stated goal, the birth of a new Middle East dominated by a U.S.-Israel security axis leading to stability. But on the other side, there's a stark warning from the Arab Center for Research and Policy Studies. This kind of pressure could completely backfire, actually consolidating the regime through nationalism, sparking an uncontrollable regional conflict, and even fracturing Israeli society from within.
And this really gets to the heart of the criticism, right? The counter-argument cited in the source frames this entire grand strategy as a potential victory illusion, a plan so focused on military and economic numbers that it completely ignores the complex social and political realities on the ground that could cause the whole thing to just collapse.
And that's where we're left. It all comes down to this one huge question. Is this a blueprint for a strategic masterstroke that could reshape an entire region for generations to come? Or is it a dangerous illusion, a gamble so big that its failure could unleash a catastrophe far worse than the problem it was designed to solve?